Good day, everybody. This is Brian McCarthy with Story Residential at Compass. Today, coming at you with our weekly market monitor. It's Friday, February 25th. Today, I'm going to be talking about just some general nationwide stats, just looking at home prices and mortgage rates going up and comparing that with what's going on in today's rental market. And then I want to look at Hudson County market and Bergen County market and kind of compare what's going on there on our daily market update and the stats that I get, and then just reviewing the mortgage rates that are going on over the past week. So getting started here today, got a lot to go through today. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. Oops. All right. Today, Friday, February 25th. Home ownership as a hedge against inflation. That's kind of what this quick presentation is about today. Just talking generally here, not so much stats wise in our market, but we will get there. I'm going to try to go fast, but if I'm going too fast, just feel free to slow this down. Or as always, you can call me or text me or whatever. I'd love to talk about this stuff with you and answer your questions. So a quote here from one of the financial writers at Investopedia: real estate is one of the time-honored inflation hedges. It's a tangible asset, and those tend to hold their value when inflation reigns, like it is right now. Unlike paper assets, more specifically, as prices rise, so do property values, and that's what we've been seeing. So here's kind of a cool chart here: home ownership appreciation versus or compared to the consumer price index over the decades. And as you can see, the 80s and the 2000s are the only two decades on this chart since the 70s where inflation was even a little bit higher than home price appreciation. And that's for pretty obvious reasons here: a big recession in the 80s, and then the housing market crash in the early or mid 2000s, not early. But every other year, every other decade, it has far outpaced the inflation rate, which is pretty interesting to know. Another quote here by the senior wealth manager, reporter at Bank Rate: a fixed rate mortgage allows you to maintain the biggest portion of housing expenses at the same payment. Property taxes will rise and other expenses may creep up, but your monthly housing payment remains the same. This is not the case if you're renting. And if you are feeling the pains of a big increase this year or the past couple months, you know, probably if you've been renting for a while, especially in this area, mid-COVID, there were a lot of landlords and buildings that were giving 2 months free, 3 months free, like all sorts of incentives to get renters in there. And it is the complete opposite right now. I just published a story, or I shouldn't say published, I reposted a story that I found on The Real Deal about some of the things that are going on in Williamsburg right now in the rental market. People renting things sight unseen for like 10, 15, 20% over the asking rental price, which is just insane. We haven't seen that ever. I've been doing real estate for almost 10 years now, and I've never seen anything like that, not even in the city. Our side of the Hudson River here in New Jersey, it's not quite as crazy, but it is still pretty bad. I mean, I've had a couple rentals this year that I've had multiple offers, multiple applications. And I even thought we had priced those a little bit high. So the rental market now, as you know, if you're a renter, is a little bit crazy. And if you've experienced that and like a big increase in your monthly rent, maybe just even renewing, that's just, it's not new. You're feeling the pain of a lot of other people out there right now that I'm hearing about. So might be time to consider, especially if you're going to be in this area for at least 3, 5, 7 years, might be a really good time to consider buying. So rent increase greater than inflation in most years. So this is, the numbers got cut off on the bottom here, but since 1973 to, the end of 2020, you have two graphs here. Core inflation rate is the blue line, which is a little bit more steady than the rental price appreciation year to year. But you can see that green line is pretty crazy and pretty steadily above the blue one. So this is kind of a a forecast of a poll of a lot of just different consumers out there. House appreciation over the next 4 to 5 years as forecasted in Q4 of last year. So we just have basically, it was answered in 3 different questions or 3 different answers that you could give. And it seems like everyone can agree that it's going to raise almost at least 25%. All panelists say almost 50%, and the optimists said 62.5%. Let's talk a little bit about mortgage rates. So this stat is actually a little bit old. One thing I want to show you here real quick, which is actually probably good to show you now, is that over the past 7 days, mortgage rates are actually higher than that chart. 30-year fixed rate was at 4 1/8, and just over the last 24 hours, it jumped up to 4 1/4. If we look at it over the last month, right at the end of January, it was still below 4 at 3 3/4. And then a couple of weeks ago, it started climbing up to 4, and now it's above 4. So this, like I said, is a little bit old here. This was a survey or just a stat taken a couple of weeks ago. But a 30-rate fixed year mortgage, you can see from the beginning of last year, so we're, I guess, 14 months in, has gone down quite a bit at kind of a low this time last year and is creeping back up. Still very low, though, if we look at how they've been over the decades. If you're relatively young like me, you probably hear stories from my parents and your parents, about buying homes in the 80s where obviously the prices were a little bit lower, but interest rates were 13, 14%, like pretty crazy. So even though we're back into kind of the realm of the 20 teens, it's still not crazy. And that current rate is actually not 3.55 right now. It is 4 1/4. So the 10-year treasury yield is skyrocketing right now. And that is only important because I am not a stock guy, but I know that it is very closely tied to mortgage rates. And this chart says it all. You can see they're basically a mirror image of each other. The 10-year treasury yield, whatever that does, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage basically copies that and has since the beginning of time, which was 1972 in this chart. One piece of good news here is that, all those reports and headlines, they were incomplete reports, just the fear-mongering headlines that we were seeing for a long time, especially around COVID, that foreclosures were just going to skyrocket and, we're going to see another housing market crash, just have not panned out. We see an average here over the past 2 years of 290,000 and change average foreclosures per year. But over the past 2 years, from 2020 through the end of Q3 2021, we're falling short of that by a huge number. So a lot of people are just keeping the equity in their home or finding a way to keep their home, which is great. We definitely don't want to see too many foreclosures. And this is a cool chart just to show since the last 17 years or so, since 2005. Obviously, things had a peak here when it got really bad in 07, 08, 09, with a peak in 2010 with almost 3 million foreclosures. And now it's steadily gone back down. And we are in the blue here, which is under 1 million for the past 6 years, which is very good to see. And so that is, I want to keep things rolling here. So that's kind of the looking just at news and stats that affect everyone. I kind of want to just switch gears here and talk a little bit about our local market. So these reports are published to me, and I'm happy to share these with you, but we get them every day. And this is just kind of the latest activity that's updated. So some of these stats are, reported over the last maybe not 24 hours, but it's pretty accurate here over the past couple of days. So Hudson County Market Watch, these are the new active properties going by price, highest to lowest. There are, if we scroll down, 38 new listings over the past 24 hours in Hudson County. Average asking price of $656,000. 4 price changes I don't know why there's a dollar sign there. Let's just go ahead and change that. So 4 price changes in the past 24 hours here, which is pretty good. I haven't done these stats in a few weeks, but that is improving. The last known price there and those listed prices are a bit higher than what the new actives are on an average at just over $800,000. And we can see over here on the right-hand side, the percent change here is pretty low, except for that one at 6010 Boulevard East, which they dropped almost 20%. New under contracts in Hudson County, 37 to report. The last known price of those, because we won't know what they close for, at $736,000. And I'm not sure why it's reporting sold prices on some of these. Sales here in the last 24 hours or that reported in the last 24 hours, we have 22. And last known list price, that is a huge average. That can't be right. Oh, maybe it is because it's, oh no, unit 720. Yeah, I think they overreported that a little bit. 485,000, not 485 million. Let's go ahead and change that stat. So there we go. Average list price or last known price of 518,000. Sold price. I have to change this too, so we get accurate stats here. Sorry, bear with me. All right, average sold price of $478,000. And we can see over here the percent change that's between the listed price and the sold price. Pretty steady. A couple that were a little bit lower, a few that were higher. This one got reported 3 times. I'm just noticing that, so let me delete it so that we can get effect here. And let's average this in real time. Why are you giving me a date? Let's get a percentage. Okay, so average list to sales price at about 98%, which is pretty good for Hudson County. Let's switch over here to Bergen County and take a look. New actives, a lot. 84 new actives with the average list price of 880,000. New under contracts, 56 with a average, last known list price of 712, almost 713,000. And you'll notice there is no price change alerts here over the past 24 hours. So Bergen County is selling like hotcakes, as it has been for a while here. Number of solds, 31 reported in the past 24 hours. Listed price at 570, average list price of 570,000, average sold price higher than that by 5,000, 575,000. Let's get an average here as well. Make sure this is from 62. Yep. And we're going to change that to a percentage. So average list the sales price over 100%. So the average home is being sold for more than asking price at 101%, a little bit more than that. So Bergen County in the lead here with that statistic over Hudson County, but that's not really a surprise. A lot of people looking to move to the burbs. So that is my wrap up. That's my market monitor for you guys today. Hope I didn't go too fast, but if I did and you have questions, good. Ask me, call me, email me. I'd love to go over this stuff with you. And any questions you might have, you can reach me at brian.mccarthy@compass.com. My cell phone is 617-851-9141. Hope everyone's staying warm out there and have a good weekend here coming up. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you next week if I don't talk to you beforehand. Take care, guys.